Hi, everybody.
Everybody, to the fourth of our One Walsall Locality Forum virtual briefings. And I have to say that we've left the best till last, so I'm expecting great things of you guys in the north. So don't let me down, whatever, please. So thank you for giving up your time today. I know everybody's really busy, and I think we're all being tested in this current climate of change and the uncertainties and worries that we all have at the moment in coping with COVID-19. Before we sort of start at the meeting, I just want to go through what we're going to be talking about. So basically we'll have a short presentation from Eleanor Boycott from Bloxwich Community Partnership, who are the locality hub for the north. So Eleanor will give us a brief update on the work she's doing. One Walsall will give you an update on the work that we're doing and the resources that we're making available to you to support you during the current period. And also we want to hear from yourselves as well. So we want to capture what issues you're having at the current time so that we can amend our response to meet your needs. And we will be recording this meeting, so we will be feeding information back to the council so they have a better understanding of the situation in the voluntary sector at the moment. So before we start, just a few housekeeping sort of rules, basically around the use of Zoom. So Julie's automatically muted everybody, and the reason she's done that is not because we don't want to hear from you, it's just that if they're not muted, then there's lots of interference, particularly when there's large numbers of us participating. So the mute button is the microphone icon on the bottom left of your screen. And if you do need to talk at all during this, if you just click on that, it will automatically unmute you. Then you click on it again to mute yourself back again. The way we're going to do this is, if you do want to ask a question, and we do encourage questions from you throughout the whole presentation, on the bottom of your screen in the middle, you'll see a speech bubble and a chat, and it says chat. If you click on this, it'll open up a box on the right-hand side of your screen. And down the bottom of that box, there'll be a space where you can actually input any questions, any comments that you want to make. So if you input any comments, questions, put the question, then press enter, then that will go into the chat profile. And what we'll do as we go through the presentations, at the end of each section, we'll go back and look at the questions that people have raised and try and give you a response at the end of each section. So use that as we go along. We will pick those up. And finally, we're going to be recording this meeting. So if anybody doesn't want to be seen, you can click on the camera icon at the bottom of your screen, and that will take any pictures of you off the screen. So, and the idea is that, excuse me, we'll make this recording and we'll make that available on our website to people who aren't able to participate in the meeting today. So, move on. So, the council's response to COVID-19 was to use a model that they'd worked on for the last sort of 18 months, which is the Making Connections model, where we had 4 locality hubs who were responsible for placing people who were isolated into community settings. And that model worked quite well. So that's the model that was already in place, but the council have used that now to provide the response to COVID-19. So the locality hub in the north, as I said, was Bloxwich Community Partnership, and Eleanor is here today to give us a chat about what she's doing and how it's all working out. So Eleanor, if you'd like to unmute yourself, I'll hand over to yourself.
Hello everyone. Dave, do you want me to just do an outline of what we're actually doing?
Yeah, that'd be absolutely fine. Just let us know what you're doing, yeah.
Okay, we're based in the north of the borough, servicing just for the north, and we run now to the Stanball Centre, which is in Abbott Street, Bloxwich. We had to respond obviously really quickly, like everybody has done, with the offer for the north of the borough. And really the important thing is really now what that offer looks like. It's been developed over a number of weeks. Essentially, we are providing a shopping service to people. So we've got a range of goods. So we've got almost like a mini supermarket set up in centre. People can telephone us and purchase food items, long life items, tins, fresh meat, bread, milk, eggs, fresh fruit and vegetables, cleaning products, hygiene products, and that's all at cost price. So whatever we purchase them at, that's passed on to the customer, and they can select their shopping to meet their needs, and then that is delivered to their door free of charge. In addition to that, we have got some free food parcels which have been put together by Walsall Council. They are what we would class as like welfare parcels, like a food bank parcel. They should be going to the most in need. There's been some discrepancies over the last few days as to who is entitled to free food, because it isn't free food for everyone. And we are now sort of actively triaging that when people come through and request free food parcels, what is their need? So it's to get to the root cause of why are people suffering hardship, because we then need to be addressing that hardship and the reasons for that hardship and passing that on to teams within welfare within the council. We have a team of staff who look after prescriptions and medication. So if people need support with accessing their medication or their prescription, we have a team of people who are able to sort that for you. And then we can either get that delivered by the pharmacy, or we can get that delivered by one of our drivers working from centre. And on top of that, we also offer befriending calls, so people on a regular list of a bit of a call round. So just to give you some numbers for that, as of the 27th, so was that a day ago, we'd had 1,023 referrals. Of that, we'd done 652 food deliveries. We'd sorted 134 medications out, and 221 people were on our befriending service, and that number is growing each day. The way that it works is people can refer into the COVID-19 email or the 0121 Making Connections number. Their details get passed on to us, then are triaged at the front desk, and then they're given a call back, and then we basically ask people what it is that they want. We're working alongside a number of suppliers. Community transport are shopping for us every day in Morrison's, bringing some supplies in. We've got some wholesalers delivering supplies. We've got donations from One Stop and Morrison's, and we've also got fresh produce coming in from the local butchers and farm. So that's where our supplies are from. Most of our deliveries now are delivered out by WHG. So today we've got 3 drivers and 3 vans from WHG who are delivering those groceries out into the community. Prior to that, community transport were doing all our food deliveries in the first 2 or 3 weeks. That's changed now as their service has grown and WHG are working with us. So that's a snapshot really of where we're at and what we're doing. I mean, do people have any questions? Dave, do you have any questions? You're on mute, Dave.
Right. You said that you're doing the shopping service. I think out of the 4 hubs, you're the only one that's doing that, aren't you?
I think Manor Farm are also doing some shopping. I'm not sure what their offer looks like. I think that's more of a standard offer. Our shopping is a number of items people can purchase to meet their needs. So it probably is slightly different in that way.
So are you covering all the localities within? So if somebody rang up from the south, would you do the shopping for them or not?
No, we're only covering the north.
Okay.
Anyone else, we are passing on to that relevant hub.
Okay.
Community transport are offering shopping in other areas of the borough as well as the north.
So community transport would be the people to go to for those who want shopping, who live outside of the north? No,
I think they're existing clients that they're working with.
Oh, right, okay.
So it would be go to the hub in that area.
Yeah. Okay, have we got any more questions for Eleanor at all? Colin, are there any questions coming up?
One just comes through from Carl Brown. Could you please tell us more about how needs are assessed for welfare parcels?
Yeah, hello, Carl. There's a bit of work going on about that at the moment, Carl. Some places are just delivering free parcels to people who request them. I think we've taken the approach where we are triaging people, because clearly free parcels can't go on forever, and there does need to be a point in time where it is a sustainable model. So the questions we are asking people, firstly, what's the reason for their hardship and why they're requesting a free parcel? If it's that people are isolated and are on the 12 weeks and have received the government letter, have they applied online and registered online to receive the government parcels? Some people haven't done that, so we've supported people to do that. Other people literally can't shop and think the only solution is a free parcel, so obviously we talk them through the shopping offer and are able to provide shopping for them. I'm currently working with Sarah Oakley to look at what that official triage looks like. So moving forward, what are the key questions we're going to ask? In addition to that, WHG have funded some of their clients who they've identified as being vulnerable and in need. So on approval from WHG, we do deliver to those people as well. But it's very much a decision we take in centre, having discussed things with people.
Eleanor, can I just ask a couple of questions? One is, how do people refer into you? What are your different referral channels? And do you refer people back out again to organisations in the sector if you can't support them directly yourself?
Yeah, obviously, referrals in. So the main referral point is through the 0121 number, which is the central making connections number that goes through to the fire service. They're then inputted onto an IT system and they come through to us on a daily basis. And the second point of contact would be the COVID-19 email address, which is picked up by Walsall Council. And we're also taking self-referrals on the telephone. So people can actually come directly to us and we can input them onto that system. So that answers your first question, I think, Dave.
Yeah.
Your second question about passing people on. Obviously, we are passing people on depending on what it is that they need. So we're working with a food bank. We've worked some work with Roycroft. So it depends what people are asking for.
Yeah.
And I think we are obviously waiting for some volunteers from yourselves to look at increasing that befriending service as well.
Okay, that's lovely. Thank you, Ellen. If anybody else has got any questions that come up in, as we proceed, even if it's going back to what Ellen was talking about, please put it on the chat and we'll pick it up later. So we'll move on.
Okay, thank you.
Update from One Walsall. So I think most of you should know by now that Alex Boyce has left. Alex has moved on to a job with NAFCA, which is our national body. And Davina Litton has taken over as the new interim chief exec. Davina doesn't want the job permanently, so this is just an interim, and we're at the moment looking to recruit to that post within the next few weeks. So we're hoping that within the next 6 months, we'll have a new chief exec in place. We've also got a new dedicated funding officer, Lighton Alibi. So Lighton is on this call. So Lighton, would you just like to make yourself known to everyone?
Yes. Hi, I'm on the call. Hi, I'm sorry, apologies. I could not use my video. I had an incident this morning and I do not have electricity, and I'm really just trying to buy time on the battery power right now on my laptop by using as little resources as possible.
Okay.
So this is how I joined on the 1st of April, and it's been the strangest time joining One Walsall from home, and it's been lovely. I have my job is basically to help with funding opportunities and support any funding application processes you might be interested in. I will add my email address if you're interested in any funding opportunities that I have listed up on the Useful Links website. I'll quickly go through my background because someone asked in the last time. So I was working with the GBS LEP, that's the Greater Birmingham and Solihull Local Enterprise Partnership, a big funder in Birmingham, and I was privileged to work with a whole lot of funders within the private, public, and voluntary sector, and I guess that's how I got to be interested in this kind of job. Part of my role involves basically sitting on a panel and deciding who gets funding because their application looks good, and I think this is where I can be of an advantage to the whole Walsall community. So thank you.
Okay, thank you, Lighton. We'll hear a bit later from Lighton, who's going to do a short presentation on some of the funding opportunities that are available at the moment. So just want to sort of explain, all One Walsall staff are currently working from home using Zoom. We've also got telephone and email contact. So just want to make everybody aware that we're able to do the same range of services as we were when we were based in the office in Bridge Street. So please, you know, don't assume just because we're not there, we're not working. We are. So if you need support, please come to us. The only thing I would say is that we've had to prioritise some of our work due to the impact of COVID-19. So we are trying to prioritise work around recruitment of volunteers and supporting those organisations whose services are most impacted by the virus. So, you know, bear with us if our priorities aren't necessarily with your organisation at the moment, but we are still open for business. So I just want to talk to you, Eleanor just briefly mentioned about volunteers. So just want to talk about the volunteer work that we're doing at the moment. When the country went into lockdown, One Walsall, sort of working alongside the council and other partners, identified that our role, the best role that we could perform at the current time, was to recruit volunteers. So we put information out to our various communication channels, expecting maybe to get 100 or 200 volunteers at best, but we were completely amazed by the number of people who've registered to volunteer. As at the 22nd of April, we had 619, and we're getting new people added on every day. So I suspect today we're probably looking more at 700 people, which is absolutely fantastic. And I think it's a real endorsement to the population of Walsall. I think Walsall gets a lot of bashing, but you know, times like this, you see that there's a real passion in communities across the borough to support them, each other when times are difficult. So the number of volunteers is fantastic. We're going through a process with all of them. The key thing is to make sure all volunteers that we pass out to organisations have been thoroughly checked over. So we'll check them for ID, we'll check them, those who've got DBSs, that's great. If they haven't got DBSs, then we're putting people through what's called a police national computer check to make sure that volunteers have got no criminal records, and that when we pass them on to organisations, you can be sort of as confident as you can be that they're going to be safe to work with your clients. You know, and we understand that most clients that we work with within the voluntary sector tend to be vulnerable people. So it's important that volunteers that we pass on are you know, as secure as we can make them. So just go through these figures then. So we've received identification for 222. We've sent 55 for PNC checks. We've already received 71 PNC checks back. We've currently got 222 volunteers ready for placement. So they've all been checked out, ready to find a volunteering opportunity. And we've already placed 258. We've just had a few people who've removed themselves from the list for various reasons. So my big ask is for those of you who work with volunteers is to think about, can you extend, can you increase some of the activities that you do to accommodate some of these volunteers that we've got waiting to be placed? I think my biggest concern is that whilst we've got all these people willing to volunteer, if we can't find them places, then it will turn them off volunteering and they may never come back again. This might be a once in a lifetime opportunity to engage these people in positive volunteering roles. So if there's any opportunity you can find for them, that would be fantastic. And if we talk about things like befriending, if you do a befriending program that maybe calls people once a week, could you, with a few additional volunteers, make those calls twice a week? It might be appreciated by the people that you're calling, and it'll provide a positive experience for some of these volunteers that we've got waiting for placements. So I'll just go through the process that we're following. So all people looking to volunteer will register online at the One Walsall website, and there's a link there for them to complete. They'll go onto a SurveyMonkey website, which incorporates the application form. And those people who've got DBSs, we ask for a copy of their DBS, confirmation of ID and their address. Those who haven't got DBSs will be taken through a pathway on the questionnaire that takes them to information needed to complete a police national computer check. As I say, once all the checks are complete, the volunteer is ready to be placed, and all volunteers being placed, we'll provide them with a name badge with the organisation they're being placed with, and the picture on the badge of the volunteer themselves. So it'll help the volunteers if they are out and about in the community and they're being checked on by the police or something. It does give some sort of evidence that they're out there doing work on behalf of the community. So the types of support that people are coming forward to help with, firstly, working in community care settings. And when we say that, we're not necessarily asking people to do care work and with vulnerable patients. It's more like shopping, doing shopping errands and stuff like that. We've placed quite a few people in healthcare settings, in hospitals, for instance. And again, their role isn't directly supporting patients, but maybe running around the hospital with notes. And that allows hospital staff to then dedicate themselves to other roles which might be more pertinent to care. We've got a few people who are taking on volunteer driving roles, so helping to drop off and collect basic supplies, things like ferrying prescriptions from the doctors to the chemist and back to the patient. General support, so packaging food parcels, logistics, etc., general admin. And lastly, the telephone remote befriending. So they're the kind of roles. If you've got any of those type of roles or anything else, to be honest, that you might need additional support in, please get in contact with us. So the way to access the volunteers is to email ourselves, volunteering@onewalsall.org. And all we need to know from you is how many volunteers you want, when you need them, and what activities you want them to do. We'll then go through our records and try and match up what your requirements with the most appropriate volunteers that we've got, and then we'll pass them details on to you. I would say that whilst we can do all the identity checks and so on, what we can't check is the quality of some of the volunteers. What we have found is that some people we've placed haven't been appropriate. So if that happens, then we're quite happy for you to pass those volunteers back to us. And we'll find some more, try and identify some more volunteers. Equally, some volunteers might come out and find the placement isn't for them. And again, if that is the case, we will then try and find them an alternative placement. So it is a bit of sort of suck and see at the moment, but it is important, I think, for us to try and use these volunteers as best we can and try and find placements for as many of them as we can. Right, I just want to go on now to some support that One Walsall's making available to people through our sort of database and online facilities. So what we've created is a One Walsall online real-time activity database. So this is on our website, and it's a spreadsheet that tells where you can input what you're doing at the moment. So what we've known is lots of organisations are doing different activities as a result of coronavirus. And this is a way of capturing what you're doing. It also captures if you need additional support for any reason, or if your organisation can provide support. So it might be that your organisation might have got vehicle transport that isn't being used. You can offer that out to other groups. You might have some staff who aren't working full time anymore who maybe could volunteer for other partners. It may be some skills that you've got within the organisation that, you know, those people want to volunteer and support other groups. So you can put those all on this website, and then it's open to everybody, so you can see what to do. I'm just going to show you briefly. So if you go onto the web page, the first page is information about how to use the spreadsheet. And what you can do on the spreadsheet, for instance, is search for specific things. So if you wanted to find an organisation that does befriending, you can search for organisations that are doing befriending. So if you're looking for a particular area, you can search for the befrienders. They'll come up and you can see which ones are in your area and then contact them if you're looking to place somebody. So there's a whole range of things you can do. So again, the kind of information you're inputting on there is basic information: your organisation's name, your name, the kind of services that you do, where you're delivering those services, when the services are available, and sort of contact numbers, etc. And also, if you require, as an organisation, if you require support or you're offering support, you can input that information as well. So this database, it's on our website, but anybody can add to it. So you can all add information to it about what you're doing, so that information can be shared around the localities as to the kind of services that are still available. Because what we're finding is, and I think we found it previously through the forums when we could actually meet up, that the voluntary sector, lots of stuff's very transitory and things come and go, and we don't always know what other people are doing. So particularly in the current climate, we haven't got the opportunity of having lots of meetings and finding out what we're doing that way. So this website, the aim is to let people know, give people one place to search the kind of activities that are happening at the moment, and particularly those maybe that are responding directly to the COVID virus. So moving on, so on our website, we've also providing lots of information to groups around COVID-19 and how that might impact on the sector. When the information started coming out, we started, something would come out and we put it on the website straight away, but we soon found that information was virtually changing on a daily basis. So in order to make sure that we're not providing you with inaccurate information, we decided to focus on two key websites, which we'll have links to, which we've got links to on our website. The first one is gov.uk. So that's the government website. That's got lots of information for everyone about COVID-19. There's information there about furloughing of staff, emergency funding, and grants available to business to enable them to stay viable during the shutdown. And I think the key message I want to get across to you is that lots of you are classed as small businesses. So some of these grants and funding that's available from the government are available to yourselves as well. So it is worth definitely checking up on the website to see what's available. And if you're not sure, contact One Walsall and we will have a look at it with you and try and make sense if it's not always as clear as it could be. The other website that we're keeping on there is the National Council for Voluntary Organisations, which is the national body for the voluntary sector, essentially. So there's a whole load of information on there for best practice in protecting your staff, volunteers and beneficiaries from COVID-19. Lots of information around contingency planning and understanding the financial implications of the virus. And what I would say is, none of us know how long this current climate is going to last for, how long the shutdown's going to be, and how long it will be before we get back to business as usual. That's assuming we ever do get back to business as usual. And I think the concern that we've got is that whilst organisations might be okay at the moment, if things don't get back to normal and we're still looking at sort of some form of shutdown, different ways of working in 6, 9, 12 months' time, can your organisation survive and cope with that length of time of disruption? And in a way, you need to start looking at making those considerations now, because whilst there is money out there available, there'll be huge competition for resources to support organisations. And I think it's, if you leave it till the last minute to come and sort of say that we're running out of funds, the business model isn't working anymore, it may be too late. So we would advise everybody to have a look with trustees, with your finance people, look at your business model and try and sort of do some emergency planning as to, if things stay as they are, can you last, or do you need to make some fundamental changes now, or do you need to get additional resource to help with that? And I think particularly with things like cash flow can be really important for organisations who maybe received income through room hire, through providing paid for services. When those services are no longer available, how does that impact on your long-term financial sort of security? Colin, have we got any questions at all?
Yeah, we've got some comments as well. Becky, to everyone, well done. What is being done to check on vulnerable people? How are services such as shopping being advertised? I think that was to Eleanor, I suspect.
Eleanor, how are the services being advertised? You're still on mute, Eleanor.
Unmute, there we go.
Sorry.
Services are advertised. Obviously, the council's leaflet's gone out. It's a standard Making Connections leaflet that's been pushed door to door through a lot of households. On Facebook, there's some local publicity gone out as well. So that's the main areas, really.
Okay, thank you. Sarah, do you want to just say about how vulnerable people are being identified?
Yeah, hello everybody. It's Sarah here from Walsall Council. So the council has completed a leaflet drop to all residents. We've done quite a big social media campaign, and we've been linking in with groups like Neighbourhood Watch, residents groups, using the locality manager in the area to also speak to different agencies as well, including the housing providers. We have, as authority, got a list of shielded residents, so those who will be identified through the government as needing a government-issued food parcel, and we're working with adult and social care, identifying those adults on that list who may be being missed off the list or have not had any contact. So yeah, we're doing all we can. It's word of mouth, residents speaking to each other, neighbours contacting each other and letting each other know. And yeah, as much promotion as anybody does through these kind of meetings, getting other agencies to find out about the process and the hubs and what the council and our partners are doing.
Okay, thank you. Colin, any other questions?
Oh yeah. Jane asked what opportunities can they do. I'm assuming that was volunteers. Is that correct? Yeah. So are you happy to you've got your answer? So ignore that one. Eleanor says we're waiting for volunteers and haven't heard back this week from Sarah.
Right.
We'll get Sarah.
Be back with us, Eleanor. We'll chase that up.
Okay, yeah. Thanks, Dave.
And Eleanor, can you provide your email address to Gail from Street Teams? And lastly, Carl Brown to everyone. Have all shielded patients now been contacted?
Sarah, that's one for you, I think.
Sorry, trying to unmute me. Have all it's not my department, it's adult and social care, but we are working closely with them if they identify anybody who is shielded and hasn't had a food parcel, that we're working with them to make contact with those residents. So I can't answer that definitely, but I know we've got a team who's dedicated to the shielded residents.
Okay.
Can I just add to that, please, Dave?
Yes, sir. Yep.
I think one of the earlier questions Becky asked about checks for vulnerable people. Just so you know, we have got a process in place. If people register on the system and then we're unable to contact them, we are actually sending emergency food parcels out to that address with a note to ask them to make contact with us again to update their details. Where that's returned because there's no one at home, we're actually redelivering that now on 3 occasions. Twice we're trying to do 2 in 1 day. And then if they then still no answer from that person, that's been then passed back to Sarah, who's then obviously passing that on and chasing up those people to find out where they've gone and why they're not answering the door and things like that.
Right.
So we have got a system in place to follow people up who aren't answering the door to us.
Lovely. Thanks, Eleanor. That's great. Okay. No more questions, Colin, before we move on?
Not at the moment, no.
Okay. Right, we'll move on then. So, Lighton, do you want to go through some of the information on funding?
Yes, I can, Dave. So Dave did mention that we have two major links that we are focusing on, being Gov and the NCPO, but that doesn't mean that they are the only ones. And as I explained earlier, it is my job to update any funding opportunities. And I have been doing that by updating the Useful Links website, which I will put up here on the chats after this small presentation. I'll put up the useful links. Normally, well, I should be doing just funding, but as most business as usual suspended their funding, the normal funding, will I say, activities, and we're all prioritizing coronavirus. All those links are going now to the Useful Links page on our website, and they're mostly just for the coronavirus. And we're also trying to encourage you right now that if you've not spoken to your funder and you're getting some funds, you need to contact them as soon as possible, because most funders have taken a relaxed approach and are allowing fund holders to change projects to respond to coronavirus. So if you haven't contacted them yet, could you do so? And if you are looking for new funders because you've been affected by coronavirus, then you can go onto our useful links where I update them once a week. And I would also like to apologize in advance, because we did not think we're going to get the sheer volume of links that we have right now. So it's looking a bit messy, but we're working together with the communication officer to kind of get it all knitted up, and that should be all done hopefully next week, I think. I'm not quite sure. I think Dee has the details on that. Can we see the next slide, please? Yes, so the government is providing £750 million support package for UK charities. 370 million out of that would be dedicated to small and medium-sized charities and to support them through the coronavirus outbreak. And this would be passed out through the National Lottery Community Fund, who I'm actually sure is also suspended normal funding activities and just focused on corona at the moment. You would be looking at incomes under £1 million, and the grants are on around £100,000 as well. More details will follow as soon as we know. We'll keep them updated on our website. Next, please. Thank you. So the National Lottery Community Fund would also, in the next 6 months, has £300 million assigned to helping communities through the crisis. This is one that people should be looking to apply for, and we're trying to encourage organizations to apply as soon as possible, sooner than later. I think Dave mentioned as well, do not leave it until it's too late. Now is the time to start thinking about it. Heart of England also has some funds as well to help towards coronavirus, and this would involve activities that include food banks and social eating projects. There is another one I just updated this morning from the West Midlands Police and Crime Commissioner, and I think that's around £200,000. And I think the grant maximum is £5,000. No, not I think. I know the grant maximum is £5,000. That starts in May, and I think it's the 5th of May. And I think that you should also be looking into that as soon as possible. Can I see the next slide, please, Dave? And I think one of the last major funders would be the Heritage Emergency Fund. That's £50 million fund to go towards helping at coronavirus, and towards a heritage projects, which actually covers quite a big variety of activities. And you would think it's just museums or libraries. It actually covers quite a lot. And if you're not sure about what heritage could be, you might want to contact me, and if I can't help, I can always get in contact with the ladies at Heritage Emergency Fund as well. There are prioritizing limited organizations with limited or no access to other sources of support, and where heritage is most at risk, and where the organization is facing a severe financial risk from coronavirus. And so I guess that's pretty much the latest funding news. There is, again, more, about 20 pages on our useful links. If you still want to see a lot more, then I can also put the link here for anyone interested. And over to you.
Okay, thank you, Lighton. Colin, do we have any questions at all? I assume that's a no. just to sort of summarise what Leighton said, I think with most funders now, they've put on hold their old sort of application processes. That's not saying that everybody's doing that, but the vast majority are, and they're all focusing now on responses to COVID-19, which obviously is a problem if you've got other projects that you've got lined up or planned. I know the National Lottery have put existing applications on hold for 6 months while they focus on the COVID-19 monies. There are lots of bits of funding coming out. Like I just mentioned, the one from the Police and Crime Commissioner, that's to help overcome social effects of coronavirus isolation. Also, there's one coming out, a coronavirus mental health response fund, where you can bid for either 20,000 or 50,000 to do projects over a 12-month period to support people around mental health. And that's just like a first come, first served sort of basis. So there's no application date. Once the money's gone, the money's gone. And they also have a small pot of money for user-led organisations where they're not user-led and unconstituted, and they can have up to £1,000. So I think for organisations, it is going to be a case of thinking about how you can change the way you deliver to make it more coronavirus friendly, because otherwise I think you're going to be really stuck for financial resources over the next sort of few months or so. So, and that's something that One Walsall can help you with. We can help look with you, see what kind of things you can do to change your services, change your delivery model, so that you can hopefully access some of this money that's available. Colin, are there any more comments or anything?
I'm still getting used to these various buttons and icons, etc. I need more practice with these things. It's going all over the place. I know Jeff has got a few things to talk about the lottery. So if he wants to have a
Jeff, do you want to come on?
Yeah, can you hear me?
I can hear you. Yes.
Yeah, fine. I just a quickie on the lottery. We're looking at maybe putting a project together just for this COVID period, looking at some more creative things. As some of you know, we run a community makerspace in Walsall. But the important thing, when I spoke to Donna from Lottery yesterday, was that the decision-making process is going to be quite quick.
Yeah.
Obviously, with the timescales on COVID, they have to try and do something fairly quickly. And so she said that decision making on this, once you've submitted your application, is between 2 and 4 weeks, which is a good turnaround time for decisions and in this current climate.
Yeah, I mean, we are keeping an eye out on the Big Lottery website to see when they start putting the details of the criteria for the funding that the government have made available. As soon as we see that, we'll make sure that we put something out through all our social media channels. And I think, you know, as organisations, we need to be starting thinking now about what we might want to do, because I suspect once that funding is available, there's going to be a massive rush. I think the chief exec of NCVO said that there was likely to be a budget shortfall of 4 billion for voluntary sector groups as a result of COVID, and the government have made available 750 million. Sorry, 4 billion, and there's 750 million available. So there's a big shortfall across the whole sector. That's large national groups and local ones. So competition for monies will be really, really tough. So yeah, you need to be really on point straight away to get your applications in. Right, we'll move on. So finally, just like you to sort of feedback to us. Obviously One Walsall's here to support you all, and we want to try and understand, and I think we want to share with the council and other partners what are the biggest challenges that the sector faces at the moment. So that could be in terms of supporting service users who are no longer able to access your services. So how do we support those vulnerable groups? It might be around your capacity due to new ways of working and social distancing. and it might be funding, you know, and I mentioned earlier, financial loss due to loss of income generating activities. So I'd appreciate it if you could input on the chat the main things that are affecting you, so we can just have a quick look to see what kind of things are affecting you at the moment, and stuff that we can feed back and share with partners. So if you want to do that now, if you've got anything to that you'd like to share, that'd be fantastic. Everybody's being really shy. Okay, I don't think anything coming through, Colin, or not.
No, nobody's. Oh, hang on. No, somebody's just been. Becky, to everyone, said, I've been working on the advice line, speaking to clients regarding issues with benefits, employment, etc. We've got a lot of issues with furlough. Paveen, to everyone, marketing our health and wellbeing services, diabetes support and immune support. President Kuram, transparency from the council.
Okay. Sarah, do you want to comment on, would President Karam like to tell us what he means by that exactly, and then we can ask Sarah? President Karam, would you like to just clarify exactly what you mean by council transparency? If you want to unmute yourself, we can hear you.
Not sure.
The president said he means in terms of a high risk list. He doesn't have a mic, so he's sorry.
Oh, right, okay, okay.
The highest risk list, not everyone has been contacted.
Okay, well,
I suppose this is Sarah. I suppose if you know of anybody who is on the shielded list and is not at a contact, if you want to can pass their details on to me, and we can chase that up.
Lovely, thank you, Sarah. I was just about to suggest the same thing, but yeah, that sounds like a very practical idea.
Hi,
Colin,
it's Carl here. I asked the original question about the shielded list.
Right.
So just following on from President's comments there, I guess he's had similar thoughts, and perhaps a few others have as well. I found the response, to be honest, to be quite dumbfounding. We're now 5 weeks into the crisis. I'm hearing of other councils up and down the country who immediately took action to identify and contact all of those shielded patients, everyone who's identified and known to be vulnerable. They were contacted by the local authority. That, however, doesn't seem to have happened, or at least there's no guarantees that has happened coming from the council officer. So I'm just a little bit surprised by the response that we got with that, which I guess is is where President Curran was coming from. I just wonder if Sarah could talk to us a little bit more about exactly what the council has done to identify and contact everyone who we know is vulnerable, who we know through various databases on healthcare and social care, who is vulnerable, let alone those who obviously we don't know are vulnerable, and how we're dealing with those. That's a different topic altogether. But just for those who we know are vulnerable, what has been done to contact them? I assume that, you know, sending out a letter to someone who's highly vulnerable is great, but experience tells us that they're unlikely to get in touch. So what are we doing to make contact with them?
Sarah, you have a comment?
Yeah, I can comment a bit. It's not my department, so I don't think I could fully give the response justice until I could find out additional information. So my role has been working with the hub, supporting them, and a bit with the shielded, but that's mainly been those who residents who adult social care have asked us to just get involved in, really. But I can find out and get more information. With regards to the shielded list, it came from government. So I need to say, I'm going to get a better answer, more clarity, and I'll get back to you.
Thanks for that, Sarah. And you know, it's not a pop at you at all. When we initially received an email from, I think it came from One Walsall originally, it did say that we were going to have the CEO, who I know now has stood down, from One Walsall, and also a senior officer from the council, who I think was going to be Paul Gordon on this call, who would have been able to, I would have hoped, would have been able to give direct answers to questions like that. Is there any view of trying to get that arranged in the near future, so that the general public can have a direct communication with the council and voice their concerns directly? I find this process to be quite frustrating, actually, and a little piecemeal.
Oh, what we will do, obviously, we will make sure that all your comments and comments made by the other forum meetings are shared with senior people at the council. Davina, who's our acting CEO, is party to quite a few high-level sort of meetings, multi-agency meetings, as a result of coronavirus, and she will take back all the comments that have come from the various forums to those meetings, and challenge those in the higher positions as to what they're doing, and we will make sure that information is fed back to the wider sector through our website, our various social media channels, so that hopefully some of the questions and concerns you've raised, at least we can give you clear answers as to what is happening, so that it's a bit more open and transparent as to the efforts that the council are making and partners to find these most vulnerable people and provide them with the support that obviously they're going to need at the current time. Colin, are there any more questions, comments that we need to?
I think there seems to be a concern about communication from the council. Jane's stating the only information she's had is from us. Other councils are doing daily sort of bulletins, etc. That's not happening in Walsall. Jane, do you want to add a little bit to that at all? Or?
I'm from Support for You, and we support people in supported living accommodation, mental health, learning disabilities, and I'm a development manager for the organisation, and I'm linking in to try and find out all the information I can regarding any updates, and I've managed on the council websites. I've managed to get into a link that allows me to have a daily update from Cannock, Wolverhampton, Birmingham. So they're daily. I have like a daily alert come through about what the council are doing on about the COVID across the board, not just in social care, but the whole lot. Walsall haven't done that, and my colleagues, the other managers, have also mentioned this to me, that they've heard nothing from Walsall Council. There's been no direction. They feel quite lost in a way that they did, and we've sort of ploughed through the mud to find our own way forward, through just keep asking questions, really. And that's sort of we as people felt isolated, because we don't know how to get this information. Like today, I've not heard of this. I know the Stamboul Centre because I live in the area, but I didn't know that they were doing these activities for people, and I could have spread the word, and it's a shame really that we are 5 weeks in and we're only just finding out about things. It's such a shame.
Okay, I think you make some very pertinent points there, Jane, and we'll make sure that, as I say, they're shared with the council, and it sounds like maybe some sort of daily dialogue, or at least some more regular dialogue out to communities is a key part that needs to happen going forwards. Before we finish, Colin, any more questions or comments that we need to respond to?
I think we've covered most of them. A few people are put out in the Zoom group chat. For example, KLC starting a community project to tackle exploitation with wherever everyone in isolation. Anyone have any ideas where we can share our community project, social media forums, etc., or if we can host a webinar. I mean, that's a sort of an invitation to group working. And you know, we can arrange sort of more of these sort of get-togethers if people want to start talking on a very practical sort of level about who wants to do what with that, rather than a strategic level. I'm quite happy to host things like that. I know Jeff, he's looking for collaboration with the stuff that he's put on there. I don't know if everybody's seeing the Zoom group chat, because if it's new, it's all a bit, you know, you're not seeing all of it. It's taken a while, so I think it's making sure that everybody sees everything. Has everybody seen has everybody seen the group chat? Has everybody accessed that? Give us a wave. Yes. All right. I like it. Somebody's discovered the little hand as well. For those who are not using video, can you shake your heads? Okay, it's not much of a joke, but it's all you're going to get today.
Right, thank you, Colin. So, right, well, thank you everybody for participating in this meeting. All I would ask you now before we finish is to put your comments about the meeting. Has it been useful? How would you like it to go forwards in the future? We do plan on, I think, taking on the basis of what Carl and Jane said, that we will try and do this on a regular basis now, maybe at least once a month, if not more often, I think, if there's a need. Keep everybody updated as to what's happening. I think things are changing rapidly on a sort of week-to-week basis. And, you know, we don't really understand, I don't think, fully the implication if this does carry on long-term, both for society, individuals, our communities, and our own groups, etc. So, yeah. And the other thing that we could look at for you is having some themed meetings. So it might be meetings around befriending. I think a couple of the other issues that seem to be cropping up at the moment is around mental health and the impact of this lockdown on people's mental health. And that's not just isolated people, but families who are, you know, having to stay locked up. It must be difficult. There's likely to be a lot of job losses as a result of this. So, you know, organisations dealing with benefits, advice and support, I think are going to be really, really busy. And also domestic abuse is likely to be something that crops up, I think, more and more over the next few months and as we come out of lockdown. So they're all the areas that we can, if you want, we can focus on topics like that. If you tell us what you want us to focus on, we can do that. So any feedback from you about the usefulness of this would be gratefully received. As I say, we've recorded the meeting. It will go on our website, so it will be shared with other people. And as I said, we will take back all the comments, both from this meeting and the others, and we will feed them back to the council and other partners, so obviously health, fire service and the police, and try and get some feedback from them. And obviously, as and when we do, we will feed that back to yourselves through our sort of social media channels. So thank you again for your time, and enjoy the rest of your day and stay safe. Thank you. Bye-bye.
Are we still online, Julie?
Hi, Colin. Yeah. Dave's asked me to leave it on a little bit longer for more comments.
Okay, yeah, I was just wondering. Do you know how to save the chat?
Yeah, I've got them for everybody, for all the meetings.
All right, okay. I've just did it just in case, but if you, I thought you probably would do. But yeah, that's fine. Okay.
I think that's everybody, isn't it?
I can see Stella, Carl Brown, and Kuram. Hi, Stella. Do you need to have a chat about anything regarding the funder?
No, I think that's it. I'll see you soon, Colin. Bye, everybody.